Hi guys, welcome back. Sorry for all of the kind of erratic uploads lately and the missing out on an upload last week. Just been a bit busy, so I've wanted just to take some time. And it's not even really that I've been busy, it's just I haven't known exactly what to make about the decks because I don't want to just keep making deck profiles for decks that don't change at all and combos for decks that also don't change at all. But I have come up with something that I think is quite interesting, and that I am also very interested in because the last deck profile I obviously showed was Mitsurugi Fiendsmith, and while I do like that deck, it kind of felt samey. It kind of felt like, oh, these are two good archetypes. Let's just put them together, and that was about it. And then you get to play a more non-engine than Mitsurugi Orcust, which, like, it wasn't great anyway, because you kind of weren't, because you were just playing more cards than Mitsurugi Orcust, so I don't know, but now I think I've come up with something I really like, and I feel that way because it almost feels like one of the aspects that I feel like I want to improve on in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is playing through a board, and that's kind of why I picked up Mitsurugi to begin with. It plays through boards really well. It's really good at breaking down an opponent's board when you don't have the hand traps to rely on, and that is why I am now playing Mitsurugi Orcust Fiendsmith. So, the reason that I have still included the Fiendsmith engine is that it is contradictory to Orcust, but it just gives it that extra power that the regular Orcust cards would give. It's just really, really nice to have. The fact that there's also still 17 starters because of the Orcust engine makes it really nice. While in Raziel Mitsurugi, you're not, I don't believe you get that consistency. Because you don't play like a million starters. You have like Aramasa, who is like a starter, and you play one Aramasa, you play 3 Habakiri, you play 3 Powers, you don't play pre-prep, which is like, in my opinion, like one of the best cards in the deck, like by far. Like pre-prep is crazy. But I will get into it more whenever I go through the deck profile. So I'll just begin now. So I'll begin with the Mitsurugi stuff because a lot of the stuff hasn't changed from what I've shown before. But explaining it in the context of this deck, I think will make it be a lot more interesting. So we are still playing. I have now gone down to 1 Aramasa, 3 Habakiri. I feel like in the pure Mitsurugi and Mitsurugi Fiendsmith, you weren't playing enough normal summons, so 3 Aramasa was optimal. But in this, you've got 6 extra normal summons, so you do not need 9 normal summons in a deck. I like 7. 7 feels like a really solid number. And then the fact that there's 7 normal summons that are starters, and then also just 10 extra cards that are also starters without using up your normal summon, is quite nice as well. So we do have these guys still. And then obviously Habakiri is the backbone of Mitsurugi. Like, if like resolving Habakiri feels like the best feeling in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. It's just it's so strong and absolutely ridiculous. Next, I do still play pre-prep. I feel pre-prep is very nice in this deck. It increases the deck count, so you see bricks less. It is a really good consistency card. It's a really good card for playing around stuff like Drogon Lockbird, or beating out hand traps or opponent's pieces of interaction, because you go, okay, I'll activate pre-prep, and let's say you open pre-prep in Habakiri. You go, okay, activate pre-prep, add mirror Kumo. You go, okay, I'll reveal Habakiri to activate his effect. Your opponent says, okay, I'll negate that with maybe like an Elia Sylvia, for example, would be a common example for me to face. And I go, okay, so that effect gets negated. I'll then go, okay, activate Mitsurugi Mirror, tributing Habakiri in hand to summon out Amen or Murakumo. And then you get to continue just playing Mitsurugi while also having just this really powerful advantage over your opponent, which obviously just feels great. Like, you've just essentially Rageki'd their board, chain blocked your ad so they can't stop you adding, and it just feels amazing. Pre-prep, I would say, is definitely recommended because it's such a strong card in this deck, specifically. Obviously, in all ritual decks it's strong, but so much in this one. Next, we play 3 Mitsurugi Prayers. Honestly, because you go through it, you need good Mitsurugi cards in this deck, and 3 Prayers is, yeah, definitely good enough. So I really like Prayers. Next, we play the Mitsurugi Bricks, so to say. And I did air quotation marks off camera there, so that's great. But yeah, so we do play the 2 rituals, obviously, because they're like the boss monsters, which are make the deck unfair and crazy, and just amazing. We play the 2 normal, the 2 other monsters that are one-ofs and aren't 1-card starters. And these are the kind of the guys you want to see the least. If you see these guys in your hand, it's just kind of like, oh, I've drawn a dead card, essentially, because it would have just been tributed or summoned off of, like, Habakiri. So they don't feel great to draw. But, and then, yeah, you never want to draw your 2 Mitsurugi small guys. But, Aramasa's fine to draw because he is a 1-card starter. But yeah. Next, we have the spell traps that are at 1. So we have 1 ritual, 1 mirror, and 1 Magatama. So I like playing Magatama, as I've said before, because you're not going first every game. So Magatama is still a decent interruption. Mirror is a ridiculous card. I really like it. It's pretty much just printed for pre-prep. It makes the deck really, really resilient to draw. It makes it really, really... It makes it really, really resilient to draw because, say, you activate pre-prep, and in the same scenario where you've opened Habakiri, Habakiri pre-prep, you activate pre-prep, oh no, you've been not ashed, drolled. You go, okay, I'll just mirror summon out Murakumo, and then you're fine anyway. Because you also have 3 other cards in your hand, which could potentially be normal summon Girsu effect, and you're just like playing Orcust, or normal summon Lurie, link Lurie off into fiendsmith Requiem. It feels really nice just having mirror to add at least, even if you get drooled, you can add at least 1 really strong point of interaction to your end board. And then ritual, obviously, one of the strongest cards in the deck. You just get to it just does everything for you, and it's better than I had thought, because I thought you had to send 2, but no, it's up to 2. So if you want, you can just send the Habakiri that's sitting in your deck doing nothing, which is just ridiculous. Next we have the Orcust 1-card starters. So we do play triple Girsu, triple Girsu. Probably the best normal summon in the deck. It just kind of does everything for the deck, and it's really, really nice. We have triple Armageddon Knight as well. Pretty much just worse Girsu. And sadly, I am in Europe, so Armageddon Knight would probably be replaced in this deck with just Heart Wars if I wasn't in Europe. But because I am, we didn't get Monster Mayhem yet. We're not getting it until August time. So it's going to be Armageddon Knight for a while, and that's what you're going to see. But hopefully I will be able to do show off proxies to show off potential combos, and I will show that off a bit later on. But for right now, I am just going to focus on this deck, how all the combos work fluidly, and just lab all that out. But yeah, so these guys basically are just sending Orcust name to grave. But Gearsui is also really nice because it gives you tokens. So yeah, also both very, very nice cards that add a really solid layer to the deck, giving it two really good normal summons. Next, we also play Foolish Burial, another one-card starter, because you can Foolish, send Heart Pour, and you're off to the races. It's also quite a nice extender. If you're in like a bit of an awkward position where you have like Foolish and like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think on the fly. I haven't lobbed this deck out immensely yet, but if you have like Foolish plus Gearsui, you can maybe Foolish Engraver, and then go Gearsui, link off into Moon, using itself in the token, because I don't believe Moon uses effect monsters. I will have to check that. If it does, we have Link Spider for the token, but you can link off into Moon, link into Requiem summon Engraver, and then engrave, shuffle back, and that way you have multiple Engravers in play. So it's quite nice just to stop it so that you will still have an Engraver even if your one gets banished. And because I do still like playing a Byaku, that's also quite nice because you can just make it using one of the Engravers. Next, we do have the Orcust bricks. So we do have one Heart Pourer this time, one Nightmare, one Symbol Skeleton, one World Wand, and one Sirius. So these guys are... not all of them are essential. Sirius is the one I would say isn't essential. He is definitely... A Heart Pourer is definitely essential. Nightmare, I would say, is definitely essential. And then, to really get the benefits, you do definitely need these two. Sirius is someone you could cut. Symbol would probably be the next one I would cut, because World Wand just allows you to bridge so much nicer. But Symbol does give you really good follow-up and interruptions as well, so it is hard to say. But if you were to get this deck to its ideal ratio of 43 cards, because currently I believe it's 45, if you want to get to its ideal ratios of 43, I would definitely cut Sirius, and Symbol Skeleton is potentially one you could consider cutting. Personally, I wouldn't, because I really like it, but it is something you could consider. But yeah, I really like these guys. I really like Sirius as well, because it just makes Orcust Nightmare an interruption. Because you would typically go for your combo, and you recycle Heart Pourer to the grave to use on your opponent's turn, and Nightmare. And it's like, okay, but like you can only send like one Symbol Skeleton to revive Gearsui, so you're only getting one interruption off of one of those cards. So what's the other meant to do? The fact that you can just have, okay, I feel threatened here, so I'll go Sirius, and just go, okay, Sirius, summon itself, pop, is really nice as well. Because it just adds that extra interaction that bones don't typically account for, especially when you have like cards in awkward positions. I know Sirius came up once where I had a card pushed back into my spell trap zone from the new White Forest Vengeance Dragon, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon card. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it wasn't Doom Dragon, it was the Synchro 12 Dragon, and it was Ama no Murakumo, and I was like, well, how am I meant to get him to the grave? Because there's no real way. But then I realized, oh, I can go Sirius, summon Sirius, pop him, pop one of my opponent's cards, and then Sirius just has his effect still, because he is a very big body at 23, 25. So he's not very easy to just remove, but he still has his effects to use on the next turn. Plus my Murakumo is now in grave, where I can just retrieve him easily with Futsu. So it's really, really nice just having him to out awkward board states for you and just really cause your opponent so much more pressure. Next we have the Orcust spell traps that I would recommend playing. So I play one Crescendo and one Babel. Realistically, if I were to get this down to 43, these are the 2 cards I would cut. They don't feel great to draw. They never feel great to draw, but they are very strong cards. This is an Omni-Negate that banishes and is a counter trap, so can't be responded to. And this is just a really, really nice interruption to get off Nightmare. That also comes with a plus 800 if you are using Nightmare to get him. But yeah, it just... These 2 are cuttable, but I really like them. I think they make the deck so much stronger. And if you can get Crescendo off, it's such a strong card. It protects you from so much. Protects you from kind of hard board breakers, because you never really want to have your board get like Harpy's Feather Duster. That doesn't feel great. But yeah, so Crescendo being able to stop that, it's quite nice. But yeah, these cards are the most cuttable, but I really like them. They give the deck some... they give Orcust some much needed power. That obviously the new cards would also... The new Link 1 and Link 4 would also give it. So maybe... well, with the new Link 1 and Link 4, this is just like an automatic piece of your end board instead of just a potential piece of your end board. So definitely keep that, but Sirius could also potentially be cut from it then. But yeah, I do really like these cards. They are quite nice, and they just make the deck so nice. Orcust Babel is just such a strong card, and Orcust Crescendo is also such a strong card that, like, it's just like you couldn't cut them. They're kind of essential to an Orcust deck. So that is the Orcust portion of the deck. Next we have the fiendsmith cards, and I know it's fiendsmith. I know a lot of people hate fiendsmith, but I really like it. Which is probably like a terrible idea for me to say, but I like it as a smaller engine, and I really like finding ways to incorporate it into the combo where it isn't just, oh look, you're making the Link 2, which this deck does do, I won't lie, but it does it in a much more creative way, because you can make the Link 2 twice and then use the Link 2 to make a Byaku, which to me feels a lot more creative and fun to do than just go, oh, engraver and do all like the boring stuff. But I also am playing a much smaller fiendsmith package than, well, I say a much smaller. It's 2 cards less than normal in the main deck. We don't have Lacrima. I don't like Lacrima in fiendsmith. That's also probably a controversial opinion for the people who do like fiendsmith, so I've really polarized the comments with this one, but I don't like Lacrima. I feel she's too easy of an imperm target, and you have to add a brick to your deck to make her an interruption if she does get impermed. And at the point where I get to fiendsmith combo, that isn't just like, you know, a hard open in it. It's like, well, I should have already been impermed. Like, you should have already at least attempted to imperm me. So I don't like Lacrima a lot. It makes the deck so much more weaker to just targeted negation that I just don't like her. And like, a lot of these other cards are so much better. Like, Fabled Lurie is really strong. Fiendsmith Tract is especially good in this deck, because you can go Tract, add Lurie, discard Harpor, or a brick that you want, like an Orcust brick you want in the grave, and then you just have Lurie normal summon, and you're doing fiendsmith stuff, and then you can go into Orcust stuff. So it feels really nice. It works really well. It resolves awkward hands that Orcust Mitsurugi just couldn't, because we don't have the new stuff, so the new Orcust stuff. So there's no real way for Orcust to just discard an unwanted card to the grave that they kind of need in the grave really badly. So it's quite nice. So next we'll move on to the non-engine. The Reaper of the format, Droll, kills every deck except for Malice, and it's so strong right now. It's just a ridiculous card against like so many decks that needs to be stopped in some way. And if it's not stopped, then what am I even saying? You do need to play it. It just stops so many decks, sorry, that it's just so strong. And it's just such a crazy card. Also, I will add, I would probably play fiendsmith Tracked It more than one, but it is currently like a £40 card because all the other fiendsmith stuff got reprinted, so that's why I'm not only playing Tracked It 1. We've got 2 Droll, also because I only own 2 Droll. I don't own a 3rd Droll, which honestly hasn't really come up. I don't think I need a 3rd Droll for this deck. I do play Free Nibiru though, because it's good no matter what you play against. Droll is really good against most things, but against Malice it's useless. So Free Nibiru is good against like everything. Like, you don't want to be Nibiru'd in Mitsurugi because you want to be the one who's tributing your guys. You don't want to be Nibiru'd in Malice because it's really bad. It's just, yeah, Nibiru is really strong right now. I actually won off of a hand of double Nibiru Droll in one of my games with just fiendsmith Mitsurugi because I was able to go, okay, Droll on your first ad. My opponent, just because Droll is so strong right now, said, okay, I'll cross out Droll because it's such a scary card. They had combo even with Droll, but because not many people are playing that many hand traps, and it's kind of like a key, like, okay, if you've got Droll, I may as well stop that because that's probably your only hand trap. And then they got to, like, I think it was Live Twin Fiendsmith. They got to Evil Twin, Leela, Engraver, and like Lacrima on board, and I just went, okay, on Nibiru, and they just had no plays. Like, it was just completely stopped by Nibiru. So I personally prefer Nibiru to Droll because Live Twin is also a really strong deck that doesn't actually care much about Droll, but does care a lot about Nibiru. Like, the only way they can stop Nibiru is hard opening Fiendsmith, which I believe they play one of because they're trying to play as many non-engine cards as possible. So yeah. Next we have Free Ash Blossom. I'm playing this. I am very shaky on Ash Blossom because half of me really wants to play Ghost Mourner and half of me really wants to play Ash Blossom because they're both really strong cards. I do just feel like Ash Blossom's a bit stronger because Ash on Saji can potentially end Mitsurugi player's entire turn. And the fact that you have that ability to do that is just so strong. Mitsurugi being just such a strong deck is crazy. And the fact there is a way to end the Mitsurugi player's turn is nice. So yeah, really like Ash. And then finally, Call by the Grave, because it's just a really good card. Just being able to stop a Droll, stop Ash on Saji is still really, really nice. And it's still a really great interruption. Like, call buying an opponent's Mitsurugi card whenever it tries to revive, even if you're playing Mitsurugi yourself, is so strong. Like, call buying like a Habakiri, it just feels great. So yeah, that is the main deck of 45 cards. As I said, I believe the optimal ratio is 43. That is where you will see your starters the most. But you don't really care about seeing starters because Engraver isn't the starter. You are still only playing the 17 starters that I showed in Orcust Mitsurugi, and I haven't fully labbed out the line, so I don't know how much of a starter they all are, because obviously Orcust locks you in the darks. So if you only open like an Orcust starter, you're not going to get the defensive combo, but I will have to lab out lines and see all of that. But anyway, you don't, 43 is the optimal, but you play so many bricks that you probably don't want to play 43, you want to play a bit higher, and that's why I like 45. It's a nice round number that I just like my decks being at. It's either 45 or 50, I typically find I like decks to be at. So yeah, so we'll just move on to the extra deck. So we do have, I'll start with the Orcust half of the extra deck. So we've got a Link Spider, Galatea, Longirsu, and Dingirsu. So this is the typical, well, not typical, but this is a standard Orcust package. Link Spider is there purely to be an effect monster to convert off of Girsu's token. Galatea is like the absolute heart and soul of Orcust, being able to shuffle back banished machines. So strong, and set Orcust spell traps also so strong. Longirsu is a really nice guy to go into off of your spur bodies on the crackback. Being just a guy who you can just set up to send an opponent's monster is really strong. And then obviously Dingirsu is your interruption. Like this is the strong guy who will apply the pressure to the opponent. So it's such a strong card. Really love Dingirsu. Next we have the fiendsmith half. So we have Requiem, Moon, Sequence, Necroquip, Desiree, and Caesar. So I am playing only 6 fiendsmith cards. You can play more. There is obviously stuff like Agnum you can play. There is quite a lot, but I really like these 6 because Sequence and Desiree gives you a continuous interruption that you can set up every turn. And so while the typical first play is to go Moon and the Sequence, sorry, not Moon in the Sequence, Moon the Requiem and the Engraver, Requiem equip to Engraver, send off for Necroquip, Engraver shuffle back, Moon, summon out Engraver, and then make Caesar. That's not a consistent play that you can do every turn because you only ever get one Caesar. So, and there's no real way to shuffle him back. So, being able to just make Desiree instead after that is still so strong because he is an Omni Negate that also targets. So, stupidly, if your opponent were to go something like Dark Ruler no more, you can go, okay, chain something like a Mitsurugi Prayers, and then chain to the Mitsurugi Prayers Desiree. And because it's targeting what the Dark Ruler will get negated, and you can. It's basically a way to get around the fact that monster effects can't be activated in response to Dark Ruler no more, which is really, really nice. And then we have some of the more generic stuff. So we do have 5 cards here. We've got IP, ASP, Abayaku. So I really like Abayaku. It's just such. I feel like it's such a strong card that I just love making it constantly. Like it's such a strong card that you can make using any fiend. So I did, because of that, and because we're now playing the Fiendsmith engine in this, I did cut what's her name, Beat Cop, which was a card I had really liked, but it's just so nice going IP. Okay, you've stopped my Desiree doing its thing, so I'll just go, okay, IP plus not Desiree, like, say your Caesar gets infirmed by your opponent, on their, like, when I go second, you go, okay, I'll go IP, use Desiree, plus just a body that maybe, like, Futsu brought back, or a body that you brought back from Orcust, and then suddenly, okay, you're just playing fine again anyway. So that's obviously really nice. And then obviously IP into ASP is one of the best interactions in the game, right? And that has ever been invented in the game, because it's one interaction that turns into multiple interactions. It's just so strong, and it can bait out so much stuff. And finally, we have King and Zombie Vampire, which basically are here just because King searches out a reptile and Zombie Vampire mills cards to the grave. So Zombie Vampire is really funny because if you start with like Mitsurugi card and you get really lucky off your Zombie Vampire mills, you can get like maybe Orcust Heartpour and Grave, plus like Fiendsmith and Grave, and you go, okay, I'll bring back Engraver, and then do full Fiendsmith combo, and then just go, okay, now I'll activate Heartpour. So it can be really funny and strong, just to have that. But yeah, these guys are pretty much just the extra deck bridges between the engines that are very strong as well. So yeah. So yeah, guys, that is Orcust Mitsurugi fiendsmith. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do feel like this will be a very strong deck. I haven't fully labbed out combos with it yet, as I said, so I will have to check, but a lot of it will probably be just trying to find ways to weave everything together nicely, and hopefully it'll all go well, and I'll be back with a video on Wednesday. I'm hoping that will show off all of the cool and fun combos that this deck can do, because this deck is interactive. And while obviously it's playing very strong cards, it is very interactive, which is a very good thing, because so many decks I find put up uninteractive end board pieces, and I was guilty of this for a while as well with Nightmare Griffin. But I find playing a game, it's better to play Yu-Gi-Oh where you're interacting instead of not interacting and sitting behind and trying to protect the tower on your floodgate. I find that a bit of a boring way to play, so I put this deck together to be very interactive, very good at going second, especially because there is so many good going second interactions that I'm hoping will just tie the deck together neatly and make it really fun to play. So as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.